Hi guys, my name is Christine, and today I'm talking about how I overcome my panic attacks. So, this is something that I've discussed briefly on my main channel and also on this channel, and that is that I do suffer from panic attacks from time to time. They don't happen as regularly as they used to. Like last year, for whatever reason, 2021, I had them relatively often. That means there was a period where I had them almost once a week, which I think is quite a lot. But now, luckily, now I'm only getting them maybe once every 6 months or when I'm in a very intense, stressful situation. But sometimes they can happen to me there's not really, let's say, a stressful situation happening. Sometimes it can happen, and it did happen last year, even in random times, like we were just driving in the car, or when I was just cooking dinner, something as simple as that. Previously, a good couple of years ago now, I had situations where my hands would get really, it'd feel like they were really light, like I couldn't quite feel my hands, and my heart rate would go up, and yeah, it was just like a really weird situation, and it was really tough. I think one of the main reasons why I started to get more frequent panic attacks was because I weaned myself off of my antidepressants that I was on for 5 years, and I came off of those in 2020. So that's when the panic attacks started to ramp up, but gradually with time they've started to become less and less. So obviously I'm not a medical professional, so I'm just going to go into what I do that personally helps me overcome my panic attacks whenever they do happen. And hopefully you can take some tips from that. But please do, if you do have panic attacks and you haven't spoken to a medical professional, like if you're in the UK, your GP, then please go and seek their advice first, because this is just my personal experience, okay? This might not work for everybody, and I'm not suggesting that in one way, in any way whatsoever. So please do go and seek your medical professional, because I am not a medical professional. I'm only giving you my own experiences and what's helped me. Okay, so the first thing that helps me whenever I'm having a panic attack is my breathing, right? So luckily with me, I have a Fitbit, so I can monitor my heart rate. And when I do have a panic attack, I do notice that my heart rate goes up from about, let's say, 70 to 80 beats per minute to nearly 120. So when that happens, I start to breathe fully, because what I've noticed is when that happens, my breathing becomes a lot more rapid. And if you don't have a heart rate sort of like thing that you can see, it can be very difficult to even know that your heart rate has gone up a high level, especially if you're not very aware with your body and things like that. So one of the main things I do is aim to get that heart rate down back into the 80s or at least the 90s, okay? And the best way that I do that is by breathing. So that means for me, I take in about 4 seconds. So inhale 4 seconds, like, then I hold for just a moment, and then I double the out breath. So if I breathe in for 4 seconds, I exhale for 8 seconds. So I'm breathing out longer than I'm breathing in. I double basically the time that I breathe out for. So that's one of the things that really helps me. Another thing that I do is I try to focus my attention on something else. I try to think of something else during the day, or sometimes I even think about what could possibly now be causing this. Is there something that I've done today? Is there something that I'm thinking about that I need to do that causes me anxiety? So that's one thing. I remember there was a stressful situation when I was working, and I noticed something was running out, and I was like, oh no, I need to go downstairs and get whatever this thing was that was running out, because no one else around me was doing it. So I was like, okay, I need to go and do this. And I didn't really like the people that I was working with. There was a couple of people there that I had to work with that day that I wasn't a fan of. They kind of excluded me for one reason or another. They were obviously clearly already friends, and they didn't want me around. At least that's what it felt like. So I already had like some sort of like, oh God, I have to work with these people today. So I was already a bit kind of like off about that. So when I had to go and do this, I was like, okay, my heart rate's gone up. I'm clearly having a panic attack. I'm having to breathe in and out a lot more, and at slower rates, try and get my heart rate down. What I just need to do is I just need to go and do whatever it is I need to do. I just need to go downstairs, go and grab the thing, and then it'll all be fine. And that's what happened. Like, it was just because I knew I needed to do something and I wasn't going to get the help from these other people. So I thought, okay, I just need to take the initiative, just go and do what I need to do. It's all going to be fine. Just take action, just do what you need to do, and you'll feel better. Don't ignore it, right? Because if you try to ignore it, I feel like sometimes, especially if it's something that you need to do, sometimes that makes it even worse and it causes you more anxiety, causes you to panic more. So taking action is another really good way of doing that. So monitoring your thoughts, figuring out, is there something that I'm worried about? Is there something I'm concerned about right now? Now, sometimes for me, I don't even have to be worried about anything. It could be just that I've had a really long day and then I start to feel a little bit more panicky because I'm trying to cool down after like a really high intense day. So that kind of thing can happen as well. But sometimes it is because I need to do something that perhaps I'm uncomfortable with, and that can cause me to panic a little bit. But monitoring in my heart rate really helps with that. Taking action also really helps, especially if it is about something I need to do, because usually we sometimes build things up in our heads to be a lot more worse than what they actually are, right? I think we've all had that kind of situation where you're dreading the next day and then that day comes and it wasn't nearly as bad as what you thought it was going to be, right? So that's something else to think about as well. But taking action is really, really important. And there's a quote that I really love by Dale Carnegie, and I've been using it quite often recently because I think this really is one of the keys to being more confident and having more courage. And that is, inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit at home and think about it. Go out and get busy. So sitting at home and thinking about it, being idle, is actually going to make things feel a lot worse, or at least that's how it feels for me. But taking action, getting busy doing something productive really does help with my personal anxieties, my panic attacks, things like that. So taking action, I feel like, is really going to help, like especially if you do have confidence issues and you don't feel like you're very courageous. Take action on things that are important to you, that make you feel inspired, that make you feel like you're progressing in life. Because we all want to feel like we're progressing. We don't want to feel like we're getting worse. We don't want to feel like we're degressing or that our dreams are slipping away from us. We want to feel like we are moving towards our dreams, moving towards the lifestyle that we have thought up for ourselves, moving towards the careers that we're hoping to have, moving towards the kind of house that we hope to have one day, moving towards the kind of family, whatever your goal may be, right? We want to feel like we are moving towards our goals and not moving further away. And when you don't take action, when you're idle, when you're being lazy, whatever it may be, when you feel like you're being paralyzed by fear, we feel like our dreams are slipping away from us if we act on not doing anything. But if we act on our dreams, if we take action, even if it's small, even if it's a small step, even if it's just some progress, we feel a lot more better about ourselves. We feel a lot more productive, right? And it is just like how this quote is, inaction breeds doubt and fear. I believe that to be absolutely accurate. And action breeds confidence and courage. So you can probably contrast this to a day where, let's say a day where you've done nothing and you've been idle and you completely ignored your to-do list, let's say. And, on days like that, I don't know about you, but when I have a day like that, I feel awful about myself. Like, it really bothers me. But on a day when I've done everything I absolutely needed to do and I did it to the best of my ability, then I feel so much more better about myself. Like, I feel more confident about myself, and it is a huge boost. And I feel more courageous and more confident, right? So these are the things that have personally helped me when it comes to my panic attacks. Again, I'm not a medical professional, so these things may not work for you. Please seek advice from your personal medical professional before self-medicating and doing any of these things that I have suggested. So thank you so much for watching. If you would like to get in touch with me personally, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.